Welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So this video here, I'll be teaching you guys how to remove and refit VL Commodore doors. Now this is a very similar procedure to a lot of the other Commodores, and I'm sure there'd be similar cars overseas, say in the US, that have a very similar door pin configuration than these. So the best way to do it is to get some WD-40, RP7 or just some oil, get it into those hinges to start off with. I'd put that in a couple of days before, even a couple of weeks, just to give it a bit of time to penetrate in there. This is an alternate method to getting the doors off. If you don't have the correct pin removal tool, you can just get your 9-inch angle grinder and cut right into the hinge, and you'll find the door will come off quite easily. This is definitely the easiest way of doing it. However, using this method, you may find it a little bit trickier to get the doors back on. But in this instance here, I was doing away with the car. I got this car scrapped. I gutted the entire car and just took all the parts off it. Those who've been following the build on this VL Commodore of mine will know what happened to this VL, but haven't included any footage of it as yet, where it was totally gutted at this point here. So just decided to include that little bit there. But next up, I'll be going through, we've been doing quite a lot of VLs lately, so you'll notice that I'm jumping from this Commodore to that one. But next up will be on the red one, which has since been painted in Panorama Silver. But on this one here, I'd already gone around about 2 weeks earlier. I'd put some of that RP7 in those pins, and it really did make life quite easy when I was pulling these doors off. I did them all by myself, so you actually don't really even need anyone to help you. But I do recommend just don't forget to pop that pin out here. You've got one little check strap, so you just hammer that pin out, quite easy to come out. And any wiring that you may have, that will obviously depend on models and whether or not anyone's put some aftermarket stuff in there as well. The Calais had some electrics in the door jambs, so make sure you undo any of that, pull your door trim off if need be. But here is the tool that we've got here. You can get these from eBay Australia. Just type in door pin removal and the model. This kit came with 3 different sizes, so they'll probably go across a few different makes and models of vehicles too. But what you basically have there is a bolt basically, and you've got a nut that goes onto the end of it, and you tighten that up on the thread. Make sure it's nice and at least halfway over on that thread, because if it's not, well, then hammering it will obviously run the risk of stripping that thread out. So it's a bit of a fiddly job. Not really that much room to get your fingers in there, but just take your time and you'll be able to get it eventually. I've since this, I've taken quite a few of these doors off, and they're not that hard at all. But looking at it the first time, I was scratching my head, which is why I just grabbed my 9-inch angle grinder, because I knew the car was going anyway. If you find your hands getting a bit sore when you're doing this because you're hammering that pin up, you may want to get a rag or something and wrap that around the handle of the tool, the removal tool. Either that or a glove or something, because yeah, you do get sort of big shock waves coming through your hands sometimes. You may have noticed that tool has a big blob of weld on the end. So basically what happened, as soon as we used this tool the first time, it had a little nut on the end of it to stop this pin from sliding down too fast, so that you've got some leverage on it, and that just broke straight off. So we just ended up getting our welder and welding a big blob up on the end of it. So it ended up working fine after that. So there you go. I had that door off within 5 minutes. Pretty easy job. I ended up actually stripping this entire car out, the whole front end, rear bumper bars, rear windscreens and everything. I think 2 hours saw it done easily, and then I repaired and primed the entire car, the body of the car that is, and the boot lid in the one day. Came in the next day and painted it, but that'll all be included in the next videos on this project. Originally I was trying to pull the doors off without getting the guards off, and I was just going to concentrate on getting the body into primer, but I found that with this passenger side door, I didn't really have enough room in there to get enough whack behind that pin, behind that hammer, so I just ended up pulling the entire front off. So you can pull the front and rear doors off without taking the guards off, but it may be easier while the guards are off to remove and refit those front ones. So here we go to putting them back on. This is another one, as I said, with jumping around from a few different Commodores here. There's been all four in this video. But when you're going back on, it's recommended to get a friend to help you to hold them into the right spot. Another good tip is to get that pin back in that check strap for the rear doors. You want to get that in first. But on the front doors, when you're putting them back in, you may actually find it's easier, well, we definitely found it was easier to completely remove that check strap and put it back in once the door is on. Another thing is to get those pins started before you actually put the door on. Obviously, you can't go too far, else you won't be able to get the door on, but it's quite difficult. The first time we did this, we were trying to get the pin in while I was holding the door, and it was just too hard. So get it started first, and then just tap it the rest of the way up once the door is on. That definitely made it a bit easier. Also, it's a good idea to protect your paint. You've obviously freshly painted it, so you can see on the hammer that we're using here, we've wrapped that with some tape. It wasn't too long that I decided that tape was still doing a little bit of scuffing damage on the paintwork, so I got a roll of tape and put it over the areas that I was scuffing. Also, when you're putting doors on, we found you're better off if you do put a bit of tape around all the openings, so all the corners, the four corners of the doors, so you're not going to chip any of your freshly painted areas. So there you go. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. I know it's not for everyone. Lots of people rather just see Gunman doing paint jobs, but lots of people are interested in seeing some of the other stuff. It's actually a pretty good design that they had here on these door pins with these VL Commodores. I've seen quite a few VL Commodores around, and very few of them have bad door gaps. That's because they're rigid, welded in hinge. A lot of the Falcons of the era, I know from personal experience, I had an XF Falcon and I could adjust them as much as I like. I could never get those door gaps quite how I wanted them. But anyway, that finishes this video up. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hit the thumbs up if you've liked it. Hit the thumbs down if you didn't. Thanks for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.